like previously, old Jake would have felt sad and tired and angry or whatever it was, and I would just let that sort of fester and it would just sort of work itself out eventually. Whereas now I'm constantly, every single day, if I feel an emotion's taking over, I'll ask myself, like, why am I feeling this way? What is it that's caused me to feel this way? And how can I get back on track to being more of a warrior and get back onto to smashing out some reels or smashing through some business and designing my website and that sort of stuff.
Jake Bowler, thank you so much for coming onto the show today, man.
Thanks for having me. Can't wait to loving being here.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, I got you onto the podcast today because you've absolutely crushed Overcome the Chaos, and someone being like as young as you are from where you're at and some of the decisions that you've made and the personal development that you've had within the course and like the realizations, the effort you gave to it, I've just found so fascinating and so inspiring. And I just love to share this story for everyone who's listening. So if anyone you're listening right now and you've ever been interested in personal development and how to completely transform yourself, Jake is like a perfect example of that and what he actually did in order to get there. So I'd love for you to share in terms of like your, journey through Overcome the Chaos and what were some of the like most important things that you learned and what you've taken from it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I guess the reason for me to jump on the course to start with was I just came out of a long-term relationship and I felt really lost in my career. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I guess I had like hobby syndrome or imposter syndrome, and I needed some sort of guidance. I was thinking of potentially looking at a like a psychologist or something like that, just to try and help me get through the time I was going through. But I also wanted to try and develop myself personally as well, which I sort of thought a psychologist couldn't do that as much as what someone else could for me. So that's when a friend of mine told me about you, and I reached out to you, and we had a bit of a chat on the phone, and yeah, we jumped on the course. And I mean, I remember one of the first things you told me was just like, it's 8 weeks. If you can just dedicate yourself those 8 weeks and just try not to miss any weeks, that's going to be the best thing for you. And that's what I did. I didn't miss a week, did all the content, watched all the course material and jumped on all the calls. And I think that's what I attribute a lot of my like success through the course for doing that. Not to say that you can't do it in a longer time, but I think, yeah, just smashing through it, dedicating that 8 weeks was, yeah, amazing. My biggest takeaways from the course, like I think even just from week one where you go through the why exercise, for me, because that was the one thing I struggled with the most, was that what is my purpose? What am I doing? Had no idea. So doing that why exercise to try and find that purpose statement right at the end gave me a real clear vision of where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. Because previously I was in my job, getting up, going to work, go to the gym, play footy, and that was just like repeat that cycle over and over again. And then in the meantime, I was trying to fill the extra void that I had with just doing every and single hobby that I thought that I wanted to do. It was like playing guitar, doing YouTube videos, going out with mates, and it was just too much. I was just spreading myself too thin. And then I reckon it was probably like I had my purpose statement, but I don't know if I felt connected to it enough, like right off, like straight away after week one. It probably wasn't until week 5 or maybe week 6, whereas it's create yourself. Is that week 6?
That's week 6, yeah.
Week 6. Where you have to try and you sit down, you think about something that you want to create, the people you want to serve, and you relate that back to your purpose. And I think it was at that time where I finally sort of just clicked with my purpose. And this was at the time where I think it was week 6 where I actually went and quit my job, decided to go to Europe, decided to go off to Canada in November and start my own online business. Like all within that, it took me till week 6, and then I just finally just went bang. This is what I want to do. Yeah, it was. What
was that
absolutely
moment, man? I'd love to hear like what that moment was like when you was like sort of where were you like were you sitting in your room where you were like what were you doing in terms of you were like holy I'm gonna quit and do all these things, like what, like walk me through that like story.
I think it was like it would have been probably the day after the week 5 call. So I always do the content a week in advance so I can process it all and then do the worksheet. And I was sitting there after the week 5 call, and I started going through like the week 6 stuff, and was like, I don't know, it just felt like I was going through the worksheet after doing it all, and I came up with the idea of wanting to start my own online business to start with. And that was like the real basic broad idea of it. And then I went back to my purpose like I do every single week, and I was like, how can I get this online business to relate to the purpose, to the people I want to serve, and be something that I love, which, and I love fitness, I love being healthy, all that sort of stuff. And I love all this mindset stuff that we've been going through throughout the weeks. And it was just like bang, it just clicked. I was like, I want to serve these people. I want to serve people that are like age, sort of around my age, struggling with fitness, struggling with health. And that's something that I can help with. And that's something that I can do. And it was just like, why didn't I think of this 3 or 4 years ago? Like, I could have been doing this ages ago.
But it's good though, because like you've spent the time, you've got the qualifications, you've learned the stuff, you've studied the body, you've completed university degrees, XYZ. So it's like you're way more than qualified to go out there and, you know, do exactly what you want to do, which I find fantastic. I also had a question when you brought up beforehand in terms of psychology or jumping on like a group coaching program for men. What do you think like made you go with the group coaching for men over, you know, psychology or something?
I guess like psychology to me was, I was thinking it's going to be one-on-one with a therapist, and like, not to say that they wouldn't have helped me, but they would have helped me get through the tough time I was going through, and then potentially would have just gone back to my same job, same routine sort of thing. Whereas the group coaching with men, which people will be in the same position as me or similar position to me, people that I can network with. And it's the biggest thing for me was like the community around the whole lot. There's so many people that I still talk to now outside of the group. And that was so much more appealing to me than just going to a therapist one-on-one. And then even just, I've been following you before I jumped on the course for probably 3 or 4 months, and just your energy that you brought to even just your reels and your TikToks and all that sort of stuff was just like, I need that energy. I need, like, I've been so down in the dumps. I need some form of energy to bring me up, to lift me up to his level. And then also being able to talk to or network with a like-minded group of individuals that all have their own businesses, that, you know, some of the people in the course are, you know, 40, 50 years old and have experienced so much more than me and have so much more to tell and so much more to offer me as well. So it's not just you giving me like a therapist be one-on-one. If it was just you and me for 8 weeks doing stuff, it's you giving me feedback. It's other people giving me feedback each week. It's being vulnerable to a larger audience as well. And that was just so much more appealing to me than going to a room with a one-on-one person.
Yeah, man, that makes so much sense. And for you, in terms of you know, some of the challenging and harder stuff and some of the sharing, because I always forget, because sort of my friendship circle, my network, and obviously being like in the course of, I just hang out with you guys, like that's all I do. And people like you, it's very easy for me to be in a situation where everyone's just vulnerable, and you see a lot of like strength in that, in terms of like, not as in vulnerables in terms of, oh, here's all this like hectic stuff. It's vulnerable in terms of like, oh no, this is exactly how it is. This is how I'm feeling. This is the things. This is the emotions. Blah blah blah. Because everyone's after the course stuff, everyone's like quite emotionally literate. But for you coming into the program, sort of going around a whole bunch of people who have waking up and getting like really conscious and becoming strong leaders who can talk with, you know, a really good emotional language. What was that like for you, firstly, experiencing that? And then secondly, opening up into it?
Yeah, I think I remember like jumping on that the very first week in the week 1 call. I think I'm pretty sure I put my hand up straight away to be the first one to just I was like, I'm in the call now. I'm in the course. Like, I just got to give it 100%. And that's what I did. I was like, week 1, I was like, yep, I'll go first. I just opened. Yeah.
I remember that.
I remember sitting there, my heart was like just going through my chest. I was like, come on, keep talking, don't stutter, don't stuff up here. But after I said my story and said everything, people started asking me questions and like being so positive and like, you know, like it was just such a nice feeling. It felt like I just let like my entire soul out onto the into the group, and everyone just like grabbing it and being like, "Yeah, don't worry, I'll help you out. I've got you, man. Don't worry. Like this course is gonna be great for you, brother." And it was just, yeah, that week one was like I just felt like, yes, this is where I need to be. This is what I need. And then from there, it was just like, bang, let's get into all the coursework and let's just absolutely smash it. It was just, yeah, that week one where you open up to the group is incredible, to be honest.
And what about as you like developed yourself and started opening up more?
Yeah, as you open up more and more, like you just you as you open up more, you almost like realize more stuff about yourself. That like it's like you say, bringing the unconscious to the conscious. As you start talking about all that stuff that you probably held within yourself for so long, you start bringing stuff up to the group because everyone else is doing it as well. So you're like, shit, I'm going to bring all this to the table as well. And then you're like, oh shit, I don't normally talk about this stuff. Like I don't even tell my mum this stuff. I don't even tell my best friend this stuff. Like I'm telling these guys I've met over a Zoom call that like all this deep stuff that I've never told anyone else. And it's just, yeah, you almost feel like you're just like your best friend with everyone on the call, like within like a week.
Oh my God. I love that. So,
Yeah.
and as well, like I think one of the main things that we try to do in the community is help people teach and help people be in the position where it's like, okay, then they actually get to give back as well, because obviously the best way to learn is to teach. And you see people coming in, you know, early into the groups, and like new people coming in, like, oh God, like what am I to expect on here? So I'd love to hear like your experience as well, because some people as well, like part of their purpose and part of their mission is to lift other people up and like to make their, you know, every person that they interact with have a positive experience. And like that's a very common purpose that, you know, some men have. And I think innately we all want to have that. And then now you have this opportunity to do it. So I'd love to hear like, you know, sort of your story or a story around, you know, doing that and what that was like for you.
Yeah, for sure. I think I've done it honestly a few times. Like I have a lot of mates that know I've been doing the course now. They sort of reach out to me with small little questions here and there. But I think it all started with, yeah, just in the school posts, and people start posting their stories. And it's like, oh, I'll put my, like, this is what I think of, you know, that I really relate to this. And, you know, maybe you could try this, or maybe you could shorten your purpose statement down to this, like rather than just you going in there and commenting. It's so great to see everyone else trying to just teach and put their sort of spin on things as well. But then in like outside here, I've got a mate who's sort of going through like an on and off breakup relationship thing. And first off, I was like, I can give you all this information, but I'd honestly just recommend going and just having a chat to Corey. And he's like, oh yeah, I will. And he never did. And I keep telling him to do it anyway. Um, so I'm like, all right. Now he keeps asking me, he's like, you know, bro, I've got this question for you. Do you mind just helping me out? I'm like, yeah, man, just flick me a message. That's fine, no problem at all. And I can't word it as well as like what you can, which is like that's something I've been working on as well. It's like I've been like reading more, journaling more to try and increase my vocabulary to be a lot more fluent and better. But I think I remember there was one clear thing that he said to me. He's like, I've been seeing this girl on and off for like 2 or 3 months, and she keeps stuffing me around. I'm like, I was like, what do you like? What do you want out of this? Like, what's the reason you're with her? And it's like it goes on for a month and he's off for a month, and it's like I use your analogy that you always use. Like you're an 18-year-old boy, you're on your phone, the girl messages you at 12 o'clock at night, and all of a sudden you got all this energy and you want to go and see her and go and go and sleep with her or whatever it is. And he's like, yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. So I don't see her for a month, and then I see her again, and I don't see her for a month. Mate, just you honestly just need to try and focus. He runs his own he's a manager at a bar, so like you need to focus on yourself, and you need to, you know, work when he goes to uni as well. He's doing so much stuff. I'm like, mate, this is obviously it's taking up way too much of your mental space. It's impacting you on going to the gym because you're so mentally fatigued from not only work but also trying to deal with this girl. Just leave it for a little while. I don't say you have to let it go, but just leave it for now and focus on yourself for a little bit. And just being able to sort of tell people some of this stuff is just like I never previously would never do that. I'd be like, oh man, like you'd be right, like just keep pursuing her. But now it's like knowing coming from like all the stuff I've gone through, it's like, no man, don't worry about it. Like focus on you.
I'd love to hear you analyze, because I reckon you could like learn a little bit out of this at the moment. So in terms of, if you think about the course content in terms of like week 1 and specifically week 5, there's probably two things in there. I'm testing you a little bit here. There's probably two things in there, week 1 and week 5, that would really help in terms of one thing that you've got that he hasn't, and then also balancing 3 different parts of his life. Like what do you think those things are? Like if you were like relaying course content to someone else's like life, what are some of the things that you'd be like, okay, well, if you're analyzing him, he hasn't got this and he's out of balance here. And that's why this is happening. And obviously the difficult part is helping him understand and educate those things, but no one's
Yeah,
until they're ready to learn, right?
that's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
If I had to analyze it, I'd probably say like 1 week. If you're talking about week 1, it'd be his purpose. He doesn't know what his purpose is.
Yeah. And if he
Yeah.
doesn't know what his purpose is, right, he's going to keep going back because he doesn't know.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what to do. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I
That's
mean?
right.
Yeah.
And then week 5, is that where we talk about is the love, the danger, and oh God,
Purpose again.
our purpose again? Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't have his purpose from week 1, he doesn't have his purpose in week 5 either. So he's
Yeah.
obviously out of balance with that for sure.
Yeah. And you can see, like, in terms of, like, I say this, like, for all men, like, and we went through this, is like, is this purpose, beauty, and danger. There's like a real good way to balance your life. It comes out of the book Wild at Heart. And if a guy's just to be like completely complacent, and then his life needs a balance of all 3. In terms of, you're looking like very macro, and it's like all decisions that you're doing. If you don't understand your purpose, it's going to be a lot easier for you to dedicate yourself to danger or beauty. Now, danger probably gets a lot of danger out of managing bars and nightclubs. You know what I mean? It's drinking, it's excitement, it's loud music, there's drugs, alcohol, there's all kinds of stuff going on. Like, it's very dangerous risk. There's a thrill there, like attention, this attention, blah, 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 blah. You have no idea what's going on. Every single night's exciting, so it's a thrill. But that's not contributing to his purpose because he doesn't know what it is. So I find like a lot of people use time like, what the hell? Because you're trying to figure out what you want to do. Then with the beauty is a reason that because he doesn't know his purpose, is now he's attaching himself to a girl because he's like, I need some sort of love or creativity in my life. And every time it's month on, month off, like that's not there. And I think that's crazy that, you know, innately in like your own unconscious, you have that now.
Yeah. It's wild. It's so good, man. I have so many realizations like every single day. It's like, oh, like if I'd done this course, I'd be stuck in this way. And it's just, it's insane, man.
What is the transformation? You know, in terms of you at the start of the course to you now, like what would be the difference if you didn't do the course and you now, like, let's say, what would be where you are now if you didn't do the course to where you are now after having done the course? What would be the differences between the two Jakes?
I guess physical differences would be like I'd still be in my old job and I'd still be going to work each day, still probably in a terrible, morning routine where I just wake up last minute, go have a shower, go have breakfast and go to work, and not really enjoying, probably not having enough danger in my life would be a big thing. And then to now as well, like I have so much mental clarity. It's not even funny. And that just comes down to me journaling every day. Like I stopped journaling for, I think it was a week while I was in Europe, while I was on sale Croatia, just because I didn't have like a desk or anything like that to journal on. It was difficult. And I lost so much mental clarity. It was ridiculous. And I got straight back into it when I got home. And every day I've just there's no fog. There's no cloud in my head, which like stops me from doing work. Even just, I had like a realization the other day. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was, I came back from Europe and I got straight back into like getting into my online business and getting through some stuff. And I sat down, I was like, all right, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. I had like this massive list of things I needed to do. And then the day after I sat down and I was like, that is just way too much stuff for me to do. Like that's so unrealistic. I gave myself a week to do like 100 different things. Like this is just stupid. And I think it came down to like, as we grow up, we just think we've sort of lost this. I sort of spoke this with Anthony yesterday. I had a chat with him for 2 hours yesterday, and we were speaking. It was about today. Everyone wants things now, everyone's lost that thrill and the excitement of actually the journey to get to where you want to go. There's things like, if you want a girl, you go on Tinder. If you want money, you can go gambling, like whatever it is. But yeah, I sat there. I was like, this is me right now. I want all this stuff right now, and I'm trying to cram it all into a week. Whereas I need to step back and go, this is what I need to prioritize now, and this other stuff I can do in 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 months, whatever it is. So that was really nice. Like, it took me a day to realize it, but just even those sort of small realizations that I wouldn't have had previously, I'm having them now, where I'm like reflecting on myself, or even emotions where if like previously old Jake would have felt sad and tired and angry or whatever it was, and I would just let that sort of fester and it would sort of work itself out eventually. Whereas now I'm constantly, every single day, if I feel an emotion's taking over, I'll ask myself, like, why am I feeling this way? What is it that's caused me to feel this way? And how can I get back on track to being more of a warrior and get back onto to smashing out some reels or smashing through some business and designing my website and that sort of stuff. Like,
Yeah, dude,
it's awesome.
you're glowing, bro. Like, I remember even like, it was like 6 weeks, 7 and stuff. We were like, everyone was saying on the call, we're like, Jake is glowing, guys. Like, God damn. Sounds like you're having so much fun. And that's like so powerful, I think. So powerful. Being in that position where you're having those consistent realizations and immediately being able to make decisions, that must make you feel so. Well, how does that make you feel?
Just I guess one thing is like grateful. Like every day I like write in my diary, it's like I'm so grateful to be where I'm at right now, and like that hasn't changed for a couple of weeks now. But just like I almost feel like just powerful within myself. Like I can accomplish whatever I want at right now. Like I feel like if I put my mind to something, I can do it, and nothing is going to get in my way. Nothing is going to stop that. No person, no friend, no girl, nothing is going to get in my way of getting to where I want to go. It just feels, yeah, so powerful right now.
Why is that? Why do you think that is? Like, what's your thought processes, and why do you think that is?
I think just because I'm so driven and passionate, and like I said, I'm enjoying what I'm doing now, which previously I wasn't enjoying, and that comes down to me finding my purpose, knowing what I want to create, and understanding a lot of these principles that we've talked about and actually applying them, which is something I was kind of scared of leaving the course. I was like, I've learned all this information, there's so much of it, and I don't want to lose it all now. Because usually you have people they're accountable for you. You're speaking that language with people. Like every single week on the course, you speak the same language. Whereas now that you're outside of the course, you sort of got to do it yourself. And that's something I've tried to implement into my life, is every single day, like reinstating King, Warrior, Mission, Lover, getting enough thrill in my life, making sure that I'm looking deep within myself, like, why am I feeling this way? Bringing the unconscious to the conscious, doing my morning routines, journaling, like just making sure I keep doing this stuff. Because even though I'm not talking to other people about it, I can at least keep talking to myself about it. And that way it's just, I'm constantly reinstating that into my mind.
That's so insane. How's like everything sort of affected your own relationships as well, and developed relationships too?
It's definitely been positive, that's for sure. Like even like with my dad and my mom, I feel like I'm close with them than I have been in my entire life. Like I'm so much more open with them. Even like my brothers, me and my brothers have a really, really good relationship. But even now, like we just talk about literally anything in the world. So it's just, it's almost like there's never, I don't really feel like there's a weight on my shoulders anymore. Like it's just, if there is a weight on my shoulders, I'm automatically and straight away just like getting it off and telling someone, or having deep and difficult conversations so much more often now as well with the people around me. And it's just, yeah, I don't know how to describe it. It's just, it just doesn't feel like I'm not really held back or weighed down by anything anymore.
Well, and in terms of like actually making friends in the community and like network and stuff, what was sort of that experience for you? And like, do you keep in contact with anyone, and how has that impacted you now?
Yeah, so I still speak to like a bunch of different people from the course, and it's just so nice to be able to because we've already opened up to each other previously, we can continue to do that, continue to build that relationship. And then everyone's coming from different aspects of life or different situations. So it's just being able to learn from their experiences as well as they're learning from my own experiences as well. And we like I think I'm teeing up a call with Michael sometime this week. I spoke to Anthony yesterday for 2 hours. Even just people like they follow you on Instagram, they give you a like, they give you a comment on your photo or your video, and like, killing it king. It just makes you feel so grateful and humbled to have those people in your life. Just something so small like that, but it's like my other mates from school aren't doing that, but these guys are. They know what I'm doing, they know what I want to achieve, and they're bringing me up with them.
It's pretty insane, like the amount of support that you get. You sort of feel like really limitless.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty unlimited right now. Like I've got all of this like support from behind pushing me forward. And I think it's real powerful being in the position where when you state your purpose, you've gone through a whole bunch of dark stuff. You understand the same mindset as other people, what a high quality leader looks like on you and what that looks like, when you're living it out, and how to do it and having the tools to move forward to do it. And everyone's seen that on you. Everyone's seen your worksheets and everyone's seen you on the call. So now you have no choice but to do it.
That's right.
I think that's where like people who like don't jump on the course get real hesitant on it. People who come in and they're right on the edge and they're like, oh, like I really want to jump in, and then like all the excuses come out in terms of like, oh, I don't have the money, or I got to check, with a partner, or I don't think I'm ready just yet, or like what's the actual go here, or blah 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 blah, is because they know that when they put something down and jumping into the course is like with all the accountability, it's like your goal that you want to achieve. Now you have to do it.
Yeah. It literally feels like that. Like I've told everyone what I'm doing. I told them what I want to achieve. And now they're like, if you don't do this, we're going to push you to make sure you do
it. Yeah, which is crazy, right? Because
Yeah.
now like, you're in the position where it's like, I mean, how scary is that? It's like, they're always like just that cliche quote that's out there. That's like, we're never scared of what we can't achieve. What we're most scared of is reaching our full potential and understanding our potentials further on than any of our limits that we ever thought possible. And I think, well, I'd love to know why you think, like, I think men get really scared to do so. And that's why they get cold feet, because they're like, commitment's hard, because obviously as guys, when we commit to something, we like to commit to something 100%, because if we don't, then we get like down on ourselves. So like from your opinion, why do you think, people would find it really hard to go, you know what, I'm going to commit to this. I'm going to, put this investment down to invest in myself and actually change. Like, why do you think guys find that so difficult?
I think like you said, like they're definitely scared of like if they say they're going to do something, most of the time they want to do it. And like you said, you're going to do it 100%. No one ever goes out there going, oh, I want to start my own business, but I'm just going to do it half-assed. I'm only going to do it a little bit of the business, and it'll happen on its own. It never happens that way. And I think another thing as well, especially with social media and the way we get taught in school, is like, supposed to describe, like everything takes like it's all hard work. It does take time. Nothing is going to happen overnight, and people are scared to try and like commit 5-10 years down the track to making their goal a realization. Especially that's something for me as well, as like previously, like I want to do this, but it's going to take me 5-10 years. But now for me, it's yes, it's going to take 5 years, but I'm gonna love every step of the way. Whereas before this course, it's like, oh, that part of my journey is gonna be scary. That I might fail here. It's just that scarcity of failing, which yeah, I think men just we don't want to fail. That's just part of us. We hate failing. I think we all hate losing as well. So it's like if we don't get there, we've lost, and that's gonna hit us and more deeply, and we're gonna, even though we might forget about it, it's gonna impact us forever. It's like that from that book. Was it The Body Keeps Score? Yeah. So I think that's the biggest thing. It's just we're a bit scared to to dream big.
Yeah, and feel worthy of it, you know?
Yeah.
That's so true. It just comes down to like the hero's journey that does. It's like there's a call to adventure. Okay, you're desiring something. The call to adventure for everyone is either a desire, an impulse, or an urge. And you know when it's like period for it, like in terms for it to come up. And you have that feeling and you understand exactly what's happening. Okay, there's that is a call to adventure for anyone. Any desire, impulse, urge, fantasy, or feeling that you're either stuck, you're on autopilot, you burn out, you want something more, and you're having like you're fantasizing about certain scenarios that are happening within your business, or for you personally, it's like, hey, that's a call to adventure. Well, there's two steps that come after a call to the adventure, and one is accepting the call or refusing the call. And I think out of a fear of failure, a fear of losing, fear of being judged, because then you're going to get down on yourself and have to deal with those, you know, shitty emotions, that it takes men to actually hit rock bottom before they're motivated enough to move forward. Like you were in terms of like having the breakup. You're like, oh, this sucks. Now I actually go forward. Everything's kind of out there now, so I can actually move. But I think the smartest of men get there before any of those things happen. However, with the refusal to the call, it's like, okay, I have this feeling or emotion to call to adventure and or empire. I have a desire, impulse, urge, or a feeling to have a call to adventure. And now I'm at this section, like part of my life right now, where it's ready to dive in. But out of fear of failing or fear of losing, I'm not going to jump in, or I'm not going to invest, or I'm not going to put this down, even though that they know exactly what they need is right in front of them. The point that I want to get to that is like you accepting the call and just going, I'm leaning in and I'm just gonna go surrender into trust. I've resonated with this. I understand what's happening. I'm gonna just absolutely trust in here and give myself, you know, the best chance. And I believe anyone at any stage of their life, if they do one thing for a period of time with excellence, whatever that they need to have or happen or come into their life is just going to happen anyway, because you're just taking complete pride and ownership for what you're doing.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. That is exactly, you said it better than I could. So yeah.
I was just trying to like put some words to it because you triggered that
Yeah.
in my own mind. So it's pretty interesting when people are at that stage where they're like refusing to jump in the call. And one thing that I always am trying to preach recently as well is just like specifically men investing in themselves, because we've got big egos. Girls' egos aren't as big as us. They're like, help me, queen. Let's go. And then they just skyrocket. And you're like, holy shit. So there's like a very small percentage of men who are crushing it, and like, you know, a lot of others that aren't, or even living with fulfillment. So why do you think it's so important for men to invest in themselves, and why should they?
God, big question. I think
From your experience.
from my experience, yeah. Well, I think like especially today, so I'm not saying this is for everyone, but men still, even though we try to preach it as much as possible that we should open up about our emotions and try and everyone's always saying we need to network with other people and we need to need to dream big and try and aim for the stars. And everyone says aim for the stars, you land on the moon, but you want to aim for the stars, stuff the moon, go past the moon. But because of that fear of failure, we tend not to do that. And we don't start to begin with. A lot of people, they'll just, they go into their job and they work hard, like men are supposed to work hard all their lives and support their family or whatever it is. And everyone's too scared to jump out of that comfort zone and pursue their desires, their purpose. Like myself, I thought I wanted to be a podiatrist and I was going to do that forever. And then got to my point where I didn't want to do this anymore, but I didn't know what I wanted to do it anyway. So I just kept doing it anyway. And I think a lot of people get stuck in that. They go to uni or they do a trade and they're doing it forever. And they know they want to do something else, but they're too scared to jump forward and like to take that trust and take that leap into the next part of their journey. So they just stay in that same job. They get stuck in it. 65 years pass, they retire, and they hated what they did for 65 years. And now you're too old to go and do bungee jumping over in Croatia. So you're you're stuck traveling around France at 65 eating croissants. But I think just the fear of actually taking that leap, whether it's in my experience is like leaving a secure job, not having access to a steady income of money, um, is so scary. And I think we just need to. It's hard to try and get that message out there. You're doing a great job of it, of just telling people you need to take that leap and trust. And there's other people out there like yourself who can help you, take that next step in your journey. But yeah, it's a scary thing to do.
Yeah, so scary. And you just like triggered something off in my head, my brain just then. I'm really interested to hear like just have a quick conversation on this. And it's like, as you mentioned, mental health and emotions, men speaking about emotions is so marketed. You must speak about emotions. You must do this. For men to dream big, that's also put out there. Dream big, aim, go far as you can, do the personal development, do the stuff. And there was another point that you actually mentioned there. I'm not sure if it was like men should be emotional, should have their emotions, have good mental health and good, stretch for stuff. So something else that you mentioned as well. But for me, it's like, well, it's still like not really doing it. It happens in our group for sure. But the one thing that I can understand is like the way that it's even marketed, men's mental health and all those things, like for us, even I find it unattractive. I believe in it 100%, but I'm like, well, it's making us come across as weak,
Yeah.
is what it looks like. Oh, let's like have more sympathy for men. Let's like normalize them talking about emotions and mental health, and let's tell them that they can like dream big and do all this stuff. But that's so uncool.
Yeah. Yep.
That's not alpha. That's not masculine. It's,
Uh,
oh, do I have to be weak to do this stuff? We really see like in our group and stuff that we have is it's like, the more vulnerable you are, it's like the stronger you are, and no one can fuck with you because now like you've sort of stated where you're at. I mean, I love the scene in 8 Mile at the end when Eminem's like rapping at the end, and he's just like dissing himself to diss the other person. He's just owning him all of his shit, and he's just like absolutely crushing it. And it's like, holy, like look at his transformation. And I think that like the real strong leaders and good leadership, because I've done a lot of study on leadership, is it all comes down to emotional intelligence. And if we look at philosophers and we look at the real strong leaders in history, as they're the ones that are like really in touch with their own emotions, not in like a, oh, I need to talk about this or whatever. They just own all of their stuff, and it's just like so cool to see. And they're not shy about it. And I think that whole shyness of like, come on, you can talk about emotions, instead of being like, oh, this is it, this is where it is, like take it or leave it, like sort of comes out as like, I just think it's really cool. And I was just opening up the conversation. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
yeah, I think like something you just triggered in my mind then was that, yeah, I agree. It's not attractive at all, that stuff that people put up on social media, and that we have to talk about emotions. As a guy, you have to want to do it. Whereas if someone's telling me, open up about your emotions, tell me how you're feeling, like I'm probably still not going to tell you how I'm feeling anyway. Like I have to want to do that. And then it's just finding, I guess, the right people like in the community that you've built with Overcome the Chaos. That community of people actually want to open up about their emotions and how they're feeling and what they're going through, versus someone else just telling you to do it. Whereas we jump on the call and one person opens up because they want to, and they want the feedback from yourself and from everyone else in the course, and then bang, the next person does it, and the next person does it. And it's just like everyone's doing it because they want to do it. And it's just so much more powerful than going, oh yeah, I don't feel that great today. It's just like, yeah.
Oh man, I love that. And you sort of triggered off something again in my mind with the whole like wanting to do it as well. Was like, it's just a lot of the time is like, as guys, you don't want to, you're just unsure about how you're feeling as well. I think a lot of times we're just unsure, like with our emotions. We're like, fuck, is like this right or not? And I don't want to claim any of my emotions, whatever I'm feeling, because I actually don't know if it's legit. like there's a lot of times, and like I think relationships are a really good place to like grow within like your own emotions and stuff, and step in as a leader. You know what I mean? Someone who's good in a relationship, who can figure it out with their partner, can definitely figure it out with a kid. And if they can do that, they can do it in a business setting. They can do it anywhere. You know what I mean? Like that's where you're going to be absolutely the most tested and like super strong. And yeah, as I mentioned, I think majority of the time we're just like, what that, but we don't fucking goddamn know what to feel, man. And you're just talking through either some hectic stuff or some mindset things, or you got problem as a leader or in your business, or you need to make a big decision with your life, and you just have no idea how to feel about it. And you're like, you know, I mean, maybe I'm scared of failing. I had this trauma thing happen ages ago. Maybe that's holding me back. I have no idea what it is. And then talking about it into like a group of, you know, high quality men. It's sort of like the old philosophy groups of like Plato, Socrates, and all those dudes. They talk about like emotions and things, and Marcus Aurelius and all those, like Alexander the Great, all the studs. They'd learn all of this stuff and they talk about it together. It reminds me of us. But when we're in there and we talk about it, then everyone else just clarifies, like, no, bro, like that's not how you're supposed to be feeling. This, and you're like, oh, what the fuck? Like, you know, where did that come from? Or you're like, someone's like, oh, dude, you nailed it. And you're like, I did nail it, right? Like, that is how I feel about the thing. Like, thank God, I've been thinking about this all day, like, my whole life, and now I've figured out this one feeling. I can get on with my bloody life, which I think is powerful. It triggered. So thanks for saying that.
That's definitely, emotions is a big thing for guys, and I think being able to understand them a lot more through the course has just been probably one of the most powerful things I've learned. And even being able to like read other people's emotions a lot better, like the way someone speaks to me and the way someone's feeling or acting, it's just like, wow, I can sort of get a picture of why you're feeling this way, even if they don't know why.
Yeah, well, you've just analyzed like other guys for like the past however long. Getting through something, it makes it a lot easier to look at others. How do you think these skills that you've learned are going to benefit you in your future?
Especially now, I'm starting my own business, my online business, which is just me to start with. But the plan is looking into the probably the next 2-3 years. I want to build a small team of people that can help me, obviously, grow the business even further. So definitely being able to actually be a good leader for those people that jump into the team with me, and making sure that, you know, one, that we all get along, we all have fun doing it, and everyone wants to be there, and that if there are any problems that come up within the business, we can all work it out together, and we're not having, you know, you hear businesses going down all the time because the boss isn't a very good person or doesn't know how to lead properly. I don't want to be that. I want to be that really strong, good leader for the people in my business, but then also being able to be a strong leader for my friends and my family around me. If they need help, or if they're struggling or whatever it is, I can be a strong leader for them as well.
I love it, man. 2 real quick questions and wrap it up. Number 1 for you is, what would you like to see? And this is like, I'd love to, super vulnerable. Like, this is challenging you to be like extremely honest with me right now. Like when moving forward, like don't hold back, like complete permission to don't hold back. 1, what would you like to see in Overcome the Chaos? And what would you like to see the community or the program or new programs potentially in there do? Number 2 is, what would you say to anyone who's listening right now who was like, oh, I'm thinking about jumping on? What is it? What would you say to both those questions?
So first question, what do I want to see more of? Oh,
what do you see in the community, in the stuff?
in the community.
I'm like live asking for some feedback right now in terms of like, you know, we've got the course, we've got the system, we got the recipe that works to get from people from A to B. So it's like, what else would you like to see in there, or something new in that you think could be real exciting, outside the box, or super value for whatever it is?
It happens already a lot, but I think being a bit more like, I guess, like push for it more, like with the people that are in like Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney, wherever they might be, especially now that you're growing so much as well. Sort of getting people to create their own groups, like the Adelaide group or the Melbourne group, and having them sort of maybe catch up, not once a week, it probably might be a bit much for people, but having like actual in-person catch up once a month, and sort of having them, you know, there might even be a worksheet that goes along with, you know, you have to catch up once while you're in the course with a group of people. You all go through the worksheet together, and then you can post that into school or into the group chat, and that way you get that real life in-person experience. Like, we think that'd be really cool.
That is an awesome idea, because they've already started the chapters. There's like a chapter in each state.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Yeah, that's such a good idea, is actually having it like something sort of regimented. We could probably make a Facebook group for each one, really, to be completely honest. That's awesome. Thank you for that.
Yep.
Please continue.
And what was question 2 again? It was,
firstly, as well, we got the modern leaders thing coming up in November as well, which is everyone who's listening. That's like superior group for people who crush Overcome the Chaos, invite only to get into that one bad boy. But we're going to catch up with everyone there. We're going to do 1 or 2 a year in there, which is super exciting. But anyway, number 2 was like, if anyone's listening and they're like, cool, I'm keen to get around this community, like, what would you say to them to convince them to jump on?
I say it to people all the time, like, it's hard for me to say because I've already done it, but it's easy for me to say because I've already done it. But just trust Corey, trust the community that's going to be in there, because everyone in there, whether they're new people or they've been in there for the last 8 weeks, they're all going to help you. And if you do get into it, like, just be vulnerable. Take the leap of faith. It's only 8 weeks. Like, just get in there and smash it. It's not like it's the next 2 years of your life. It's life-changing. Like, I can't put a price tag on how life-changing the course is. Trust the process, get in there and smash it, and honestly watch your life change.
Boom, there you hear it, ladies and gentlemen. Well, Jake, you're kicking ass at the moment. You're creating a bunch of things. Number 1, where can people find you, and what are you creating at the moment?
Mostly on Instagram at the moment. Just Jake Bowler with 2 R's at the end. Someone else took my last name. And I'm currently creating a program, online program. It's one-on-one coaching, but it's more focused around getting people to break out of that, the personal training sort of cycle of going to the gym and signing up with a personal trainer every 8 weeks, or getting an 8-week program online. I want to actually get people in, teach them the skills to be able to design their own program, design their own meal plans, and also help with their mindset around training. Because I know that people that do train, especially people that work long hours, it's hard to get to the gym, and I want to try and change and find the energy to get to the gym, because it's something that people do struggle with a lot. So that's what I'm doing. That'll probably go live in the next 2 weeks. So yeah, I'll keep everyone posted with that.
You're gonna make sure that we get this out in a damn week then. So with that as well, I love that, because that's like education and coaching to create people like complete independence within like their own fitness and health journey. I love it so much. Well, there you have it, guys. You can reach out to Jake on there. He puts out a lot of TikToks as well. I'm sure he knows Jake Bowler as well. And dude, thank you so much for coming on. And I'd like to leave the listeners with one challenge. So every time that they listen to this podcast, I'd like to leave everyone something that they can do and take away with today, this week, tomorrow, immediately. What is one thing that you'd like to challenge everyone who's listening to take action on today?
Just for the next week, I want you to get a journal and just write down 3 things you're grateful for every morning, and I guess just reflect on what you've done for the last couple of days. Really simple.
I love it, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on, sharing your time, sharing your advice. It's a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime, man.